Welcome back to Genre. I'm Katy.
I'm Elise.
And today we're going to be talking about Direbound by Sable Sorensen. But first, we have some things to say.
Katy, I want you to go first because I think I know what you're going to talk about. And if you're not going to talk about it, I'm going to make you talk about it. So just hit me with what you have to say.
So I have a couple things that I was going to say, actually. And one being, I'm still so obsessed with Heated Rivalry that I've been forced to find other things to occupy my day so I don't start watching it over again.
I think it's fine if you watch it over again. I mean, I know you've watched it twice now, and I think you can watch it up to 5 times without it being an issue, in my opinion.
Okay. I feel like that's fair.
Yeah. As to somebody who does fall into these types of obsessive spirals, which you're unused to.
Yes, I do not do this. The last time I fell into an obsessive spiral was Twilight. So honestly, the worlds of books and obsession is so close.
It is. I mean, those are apparently the 2 times you've ever done it. It's been over books.
It
Turned
has-
into movies, basically.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So you don't want to go into Heated Rivalry anymore, Katy? Because if you're remembering how we've recorded these episodes, the last time we've spoken about Heated Rivalry was on our holiday episode when I announced that we were just going to watch it when Brianna was coming down. So while I know that we did watch it when Brianna came down and it's thrown you into a weeks-long spiral, the audience doesn't know, Katy.
That's a good point. I totally forgot. Yeah, so this is our first episode of the new year.
Yeah.
Wow, huge. And yeah, so we watched Heated Rivalry over break, and it's completely changed my life, changed my thinking. Had to talk to my therapist about it. It is the most amazing show I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, it's it. It's it. I watch every edit that you can possibly find on TikTok to every song.
Do you have a favorite so far?
Oh, Dress. Taylor Swift. Have you seen the Dress edit?
No, I haven't seen the Dress edit.
Oh, it's so good.
It's not quite as seriously on my feed as it is yours, but since we do share the genre social media accounts, when I do log into that, I get a lot of Heated Rivalry, but I don't think as much as you do. It must know that I'm a different phone. I know, which seems weird, but it must. So it's not up to me to question the algorithm.
No, it's it's not up to us to question TikTok at all.
Yeah.
But I will say, I'm shocked. I'm shocked with the performance by Hudson Williams and Connor Story. I can't imagine 2 other people playing these characters, and I think they are Emmy award-winning performances. Even though we know that they can't actually win Emmys because it's a Canadian production. We get that. We know.
In our hearts, though.
In our hearts,
they'll win an Emmy.
They are stars. Stars. And just one more note. Anyone that has seen, what's it called? It's Baskets. It's like it's a hockey podcast with
Empty
3
netters.
Empty netters.
Yeah.
With 3 straight guys who are like live reacting to Heated Rivalry in real time. And it's incredible. It's incredible the way that they talk about it. They're all, I think, former hockey players or hockey fans. And they just got it. Like, they get it. They're everything that we wish other men could be.
We're just all wishing straight men could be a little bit more like these gay men, really. Yeah. And just as Katy's sister and maybe listeners to the podcast will acknowledge that this is a surprise to me because Katy doesn't like romance books.
No,
I've made her read several, and it's not like she despises them, but she's constantly given them 3 stars.
Yeah.
You know, it's just because they're not her thing. But sure, but here she is, absolutely spiraling over a romance. And this is what this is. This is I'm going to say straight romance book, but I mean, it's obviously a queer romance, but it's a romance TV series. That's the plot.
Yeah. But the reason I know that I love it so much is because the stakes are incredibly high. Could not be higher for these 2 individuals. Where every other time I read a romance book, it's like, oh, you're my boss. I can't fall in love with you. You're my brother's best friend. And I'm like, who cares? No, I want to see rival hockey men. Oh, it's great.
I know.
But the other thing I was gonna say is that I watched yesterday a new show on Netflix called His and Hers, which is an adaptation of a book by Alice Feeney, and it was good, but I gotta say that ending, I'm not gonna spoil it, was shocking. I was shocked.
Like a real
It
twist,
was a real twist.
real twisty
It
twist.
was a real twist, and I once again was not expecting it. It was kind of like we were all guilty here.
So we really need to just be reading, I think, more of the right now the really popular thriller writers, I think, because you during Christmas you read that short story
Yep.
by why am I forgetting her
Frida
name?
McFadden.
Yeah, Frida McFadden, and you loved it. And now this adaptation. So there's something to it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I like the unexpected plot twists. I I have been loving,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about it a little bit with this book. It's just when you can't see certain things coming or when you see some parts of a twist, but then there's, like, another twist on top of that twist that you don't see, and I'm like, "Damn." This TV show I was watching was like a thriller, and I was like, okay, I can see some of these things coming, but man, did I not see the last 5 minutes."
Yeah. All right. Okay. That's good to know. Good to
Yeah.
know. All right. So for me,
Yep.
besides honestly dealing with you and your heated rival spiral, I just want to talk about my reading journal. So what got me on TikTok was planner talk at the end of the year, as often happens. At the end of the year, I'm constantly like, new me,
New planner.
new planner. And then I usually forget about it. So instead of spending a ton of money on like a planner of just, me buying a Louise Carmen for $400 and having it shipped to me, um,
Oh,
I found a 14.99 knockoff like leather version. And I decided instead of making it a planner, I was going to make it a reading journal. So that's something I don't have to do every day, but I can keep track of everything that I've read and then maybe don't have to rely so much on see, reading tracker, don't have to rely so much on Goodreads,
the trash app.
the trash app. You'll notice I'm going to show something. You won't see what I give Direbound because I knew I was going to show it.
Oh,
So I didn't grade it yet. But see, so like so far I've read 4 books this year. And that's those cute little stickers. That's the one thing I bought. I did buy a cute little sticker printer,
it's very cute.
but I think it was worth it.
That pleases me.
Yeah, it's very pleasing. It's very satisfying. I
Yeah.
have a little tracker, like a genre tracker,
Mm.
trope tracker, which I haven't filled out yet. I need to. And then I'm gonna do a monthly tracker where I'm just like really write down
Mm.
everything I do in the month, same thing, and then grade it. I haven't graded this one yet because I didn't want it to be a surprise. And then I'll like sum it up here. And then once that's done, I will put it in this. Hold on. Oh, I also have a top book that has Velcro on it so I can move it around during the
Wow.
year. I haven't read enough yet to put it in here,
Wow.
but isn't that fun?
This is giving, like, kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. And then look, and then once I'm done with a month, I'm going to track the months in here so I can keep track of like how many books, how many pages, which I think is really interesting.
Crazy.
How many 5-star, 4-star, how many books I didn't finish. So just like a real stat thing. And then my other book over here, that's book 1. This is book 2, and this is going to be book reviews.
Oh.
See,
Oh,
where I have a
damn.
picture again and I give a little bit more of a complicated system. And then I do favorite characters, it's giving, and one-line plot. But I'm
Did
gonna
you do this for Direbound?
I did do it for Direbound.
That's
And then
nice.
I'll do, like, thoughts, and that'll just be, like, a 1 page of this. And I'm pleased so far.
You're chuffed.
I'm very chuffed so far. I think this might, because I mean, obviously, Goodreads is still in use because it
Has to
has to
be.
be, and I will be a little bit more on track with things, particularly when I start a book and when I finish a book, which is what I think I was Goodreads was really fucking up. So
Yeah.
that's helpful. So I'm really thinking that this is gonna be, I mean, let's check in. Let's make sure that I don't fall off on this, but this
Yep.
is I'm very excited about it. I think it's gonna be great. I think it's a great way for me to be, new year, new me without spending $400 on a planner that I'm
Well,
inevitably not going to use. But if I do,
and you can get it.
then I can get it. If I
Yep.
can keep up with this, then I'm allowed to purchase myself a fancy leather traveler's journal. That's the plan.
Love that. Love that for you. All right, so let's jump into the book. And just a reminder, this is our spoiler free section. So we're going to yap for maybe 20 minutes, all spoiler free info about the book. And then we'll get into the spoilers. We'll let you know very clearly if we are getting to that spoiler section.
We'll sound the spoiler alarm.
Sound the spoiler alarm. Okay, I love that. All right, so I'm just going to give a short synopsis of the book. A street fighter from the slums enters a brutal set of trials to bond with a direwolf in order to save her kidnapped sister. What begins as a fight for survival turns into a reckoning with a corrupt system, erased history, and a destiny she never asked for.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum. All right, let's get into it. I
Mhm.
mean, I feel like this is a typical romantasy book.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, the genre is very straight romantasy. It's not as if it's the spiciest book I ever read, but it should be noted it's pretty spicy.
It was spicier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I definitely more than, like, your standard romantasy for sure. There was definitely,
That's a good point.
a lot of smut for smut's sake, in my opinion.
Oh, that's an interesting.
So, yeah, so, like, it wasn't I mean, it wasn't too distracting,
Yeah.
but it was yeah, it was smutty.
I was like, well, we're going there again.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Exactly, I'm just like, don't I mean, there's definitely giant wolves and a kidnapped sister, but I guess, yeah, no problem. Well,
Yeah.
that just,
Let's hit
just
the bedroom.
yeah, let's just bang it out real quick.
Yeah.
Like, it's so definitely a little smutty for smut's sake. But yeah, I mean, the tropes I said were, pretty standard romantasy. Chosen one. This happens to be magic school, which I know is one of your favorites.
It's one of my favorites. I will say, like, trials,
Yeah.
competition. That's really the whole gist of this book. Again, this is going to be a series. I don't know if it's like 2 or 3 books, but this one was definitely more focused on the bonding with the direwolves
Mhm.
and the trials that you have to go through in order to be a fully bonded rider.
Yeah.
I will say the parallels between Fourth Wing and this book were
Pretty significant.
pretty
Yeah.
significant.
Oh, you know what isn't really interesting? So did you read that the author, Sable Sorensen, is
Yeah.
2 people? And the only description you can find of them, I even went to their website
Yeah,
to
me too.
see, it was just like Eliza and Annie are like big fantasy fangirls
Yep.
who have been like, loving it forever. And I think that explains a lot of the, I'll just call them classic,
Yeah.
like classic types of trope, classic types of storyline. There was a few things that I liked better though, like that I really liked, not better, but let's say that it was a little bit different that I think they focused on
Yeah, me too.
that I thought were really good. And a
Yeah.
lot of that were the characters, if we wanted
Yeah.
to jump right in.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, so Maren Cooper is our main female character, and she's badass, and
Yeah.
that's what I think is a really, really
Mhm.
big difference between Fourth Wing and this book. She is she is a street fighter. Like, she is a nasty girl that goes to fighting rings and picks fights with people that are much bigger than her to, of course, bring home extra money for her very, very poor family.
Yeah. And that's I think I said that too, I really liked that. She
Yeah.
started it like, the first scene was her in a fighting ring,
Yep,
just like
loved
in an
it.
underground fighting ring, beating the shit out of some guy who was like 10 times bigger than her.
It was giving Selena Sardothian.
Yes, it was giving Selena Sardothian for sure.
Yep.
And I really liked that. I liked that we didn't have to like, there was some training montages, sure, but it wasn't because she was weak and didn't know how to fight. It was
Yeah.
because all of a sudden there was a wolf.
Yeah. Yeah, bit of a
Surprise,
difference.
a wolf.
Yeah.
But so I really liked that. I thought that was great.
Yeah. So then Anasa
Mhm.
is her dire wolf that she bonds with. And another thing that I also liked about this is that they didn't just bond and have a good time together. Anasa is so moody, has such an attitude problem, and their relationship is very strained from the beginning. I felt like I liked that.
I said that too. I
Yeah.
was like, I like that too. That was just like different instead of just bonding with this magical animal
Yeah.
and being best friends all of a sudden.
No.
That was not like basically the first half of the book was them both just trying to deal with the fact that they were bonded to each other, which I thought
Yeah.
was interesting and different and something that like set this apart, even though the framework is a very classic type of framework
Yeah.
for this.
I agree. Okay. And then our next character is Lee, who is a castle messenger, I want to say,
Yeah.
and the love interest for Marin.
Yeah. And he's sort of like the only one that really shows her love affection or takes care of her because
Yeah.
she is such the caregiver for her family, hence the fighting in the ring to help her mom and her sister who are I mean, her mom is unwell and her sister is very young. She's always taking care of them, but Lee takes care of her. And so that is, I think, a very important thing just to know about Marin as she's then going into the trials.
Yep.
And then I had one more, which I
Who'd
just
you
wanted to
have?
put in there, which was Isabel. There's a little bit of a found family going on when she gets into the castle, when she has her packmates, as they're called, and Isabel is a daughter of a bonded family, which means her parents already bonded direwolves, and so is a very much of a different status than Marin, and she ends up being very close friends with Marin, and she's how we sort of get a lot of the information that Marin is not privy to, because like she has no idea what's going on in this world, and so Isabel really is the voice of the audience, if
Yep.
you will, for that to try to help us know what's going on.
And so I guess we can give a little background into what's happening in Nocturna at this time. There's a centuries long war between siphons and humans, essentially. And siphons are described as kind of like vampires. They live forever, they
Mhm.
suck the blood of people, and they keep sending. So Marin's dad, since they've been fighting this war forever, he was sent to the front. He died there. And so the bonded are supposed to be the elite fighters. So they are the ones that bond with dire wolves and they all go to the front and they fight in this war. And they are looked up to. They're taken care of by the king. They're the, kind of like elite society
Mhm.
in this country.
Yeah. And there's even the only people really above the bonded are the nobles, but they're all on the same side of the city, which is different from when Marin grew up on.
Yeah. And so Sayla, which is Marin's sister, gets taken in the night, and she believes that in order to save her, she needs to go to the front. So to go to the war, she needs to find out where her sister went, and that kicks off the trials. So, like we said, this is really giving Fourth Wing, Hunger Games. Those are the big ones that I put.
Yeah.
It's so closely related to Fourth Wing that kind of took me out a little bit. Even some of like the magic on how the dire wolves and the bonded communicate with each other was kind of similar.
Mhm.
What do you think?
Oh, so my big it's giving, I'm afraid is too much of a spoiler. But I think I will just underline what you said earlier, which it does give a little bit of Throne of Glass in the sense that we're
Mm-mm.
dealing with a badass woman right off the bat. And then I will save my second one
Okay.
for the spoiler section because I think it gives a little bit too much away.
Yeah. But I think if you are a typical romantasy reader, you're going to like this book.
Yeah.
Like it was quick, it kept me
Mhm.
engaged. I liked it off the bat.
Yeah. I liked it too. It definitely scratched like a romantasy itch. Like
Yeah.
if you just want a good romantasy book, like this is going to do it for you.
Yep.
Um, it has just like we said, just enough little twists on like the regular type of tropes to keep you interested, without compromising any sort of part of the genre at all. So it's not going to shock and surprise you, but it'll definitely keep you interested.
Yep.
I will say, as I say about most things, over 500 pages. It was, in my opinion, a little too long. I think it was about 200 pages too long. Like they could have been compressed a little bit more.
Yeah.
We sat in the trial section. Like
Yeah.
you know what it wasn't? It was the time between the trials, which didn't need to be that long. And a lot of it was got a little repetitive by the time we got to the third trial.
Yeah.
So that was just shrunk a little bit. I think this would have been a much more compact narrative. But for a 700-page book, it
Yeah.
did I read it pretty fast. I think I read it in, like, 3 days. So, it wasn't like it took
I did
like,
not.
it wasn't a but it could have definitely been more compact.
I also will say that the audiobook, because I was doing both reading and listening to the audiobook, is a duet. So there's
Yeah,
like male and female voices, which I always appreciate. I feel like it keeps you in the zone.
yeah, I agree. Do you think our mother would have read this book, Katie?
No, of course not.
I know. First of all, too much smut for her. Second of all, she's also somebody who doesn't like dragons, and while there's no dragons in this book, it's a romance. It's the
No,
romantasy book. She'd be like,
no,
"No, thank you.
this is not for our mother.
Why do these wolves talk? No, thank you.
Yep.
Vampires, get out of here."
Yep.
All right, I can do my one-line plot. Right.
Okay. Do your one line plot.
A love-starved MMA fighter joins the army to solve a kidnapping, bonds a sassy wolf, survives a 400-page training montage, and discovers that magic and losing your mind look pretty much exactly the same.
Ooh, pretty good. Okay, mine is a kick-ass street fighter bonds with a direwolf with a major attitude problem, attracts two deeply suspicious men, and stumbles into a centuries-long secret that reshapes an entire kingdom.
Ooh, that was good too. I love they were deeply suspicious, these men.
Everything is suspicious about these people. All right, let's get into the spoiler section.
Okay.
Alert.
Alert,
Alert.
alert,
Spoilers
alert.
coming.
Wee spoiler alarm.
Sound the spoiler alarm. All right. Okay. So, when did you figure out if you liked or didn't like this book?
So I think I liked it off the bat. Like
Yeah.
the first scene when she's fighting, I was like, nice.
Yeah,
So we're not
same.
going to need to deal with some sort of, a virginal wimp who needs to magically learn how to fight because she's the chosen one.
Yep.
I'm like, great. We're at least not going to have to do that. And then we learned shortly afterwards that, man, is she not a virgin? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know.
And then it continued, and that continues on and on and on.
Wait, do you know what I think about all the time?
What?
Like in these books, this is supposed to not be in today's times.
Yeah.
I feel like showers are few and far between.
Yeah.
Stinky.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
stinky.
I mean, particularly when they're, fighting,
Yeah.
riding wolves. I can't.
know. I was like, anybody want to take a shower after this before we get into
I mean, at least when she gets to the
castle?
castle, I
Yeah.
mean, she's shocked by the bathrooms. So,
Yeah.
yes, this girl did not shower regularly when she was in her poor little town.
Yeah. But yes, I was going to say the same thing. We both love like a badass female main
Yeah.
character. So right off the bat, that first scene when they're fighting in the pits hooked me.
Yeah. I will say that the one thing that, that I didn't absolutely positively love is that I did call every twist,
Yeah.
except for the last one,
Yep.
within the first 50 pages.
So same. I was going to say, I knew, so Lee, who is her, who's the love interest, I knew that something was going to be kind of weird about him or something. I don't know. I felt it. I felt it.
You know when I knew? As soon I was just like, oh, Lee is not who he says he is.
When?
Is when he knew that the Dire-bound trials were starting. Like when Marin goes to him and is like, I'm joining the army. And first of all, he was like, totally. You should totally join the army. I was like, that's not what a man who wants to marry you. That's not what a poor man who wants to marry you is going to say. And then second of all, and he's like, the timing is just really bad because the dire wolf challenges is that those are about to start. And he's not like, don't do it. You're gonna die. He's like, no, definitely do it. And she doesn't question how he knows. It's supposed to be a secret when the Dire-bound trials start.
Yeah.
And he just knows. And she just thinks it's because he's a royal messenger. And I'm like, bitch, please.
Yeah. I think I knew when we met Stark. So it's a character we didn't talk about in the spoiler-free section just because I immediately figured out that there was another love interest.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, if there's another love interest, then seems like there's something going on with Lee. And I think we should just say, so Lee ends up being the prince
of the realm.
Of the realm. Yeah. And his real name is Killian.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that was a shock for our girl Marin.
Yeah. Our girl Marin, let me give you my real it's giving. For me, Marin is giving Feyre Book 1 ACOTAR. So A Court of Thorns and Roses Feyre, where she is taking care of her family and she's no one except for this one person, at least in this case, like shows her any sort of affection.
Yep.
So when she's taken into Fairyland or Direwolf Land, she falls so madly in love with with her protector, with the first person who showed her any affection, that the fact that she's a badass seems to go right out the window.
Yeah. However, I will say that I'm not surprised. So I think we all kind of knew that Killian was going to be a bad guy in the end.
Yeah.
But there is truly he's not giving anything away. And so for the entire book, you're waiting for him to turn into this bad guy.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't happen until like the last 50 pages. And I don't blame Marin for loving him or for thinking that everything that he's doing is for her and helping her. So that was like a tough thing to swallow because I'm like, no one would have known.
Yeah, he was always saying the right things
Yes.
and being there, but like, not always there, even though we find out that he was pretty much orchestrating this entire thing for Marin, like, every step she took was because he wanted her to take that step,
Yeah.
but it didn't feel like he was really doing it in a way that would tip her off.
Yeah.
And then the one thing as well is then when Stark comes into the picture, who is an alpha of one of the other packs and is, being mean to her all the time. Basically, he just glares at her for
It's giving
600
it's
pages.
giving Xaden.
It's giving well, wait, let me go back to ACOTAR. It's giving Rhysand Under the Mountain,
Yeah.
where it's like where all this guy is just supposed to be the bad guy. And she doesn't question that, and to be
Yeah.
fair to her, he doesn't do anything to really help her question that until, like, the last third of the book.
You know what I thought was interesting that I felt like I haven't seen in other books like this was that each pack, so basically throughout these trials, you get sorted into various packs, little Harry
Yeah, a
Potter.
little Harry Potter, if you will,
Yeah, little Harry Potter.
and it's based on, like, your aptitude.
Yeah.
Like, if you're smart, you go into the spy pack.
Yep.
Like, if you're strong, you go into the brute pack.
Yep.
Like, if you have a strategic mind, you go into the
Strategy pack.
yeah, and which is literally called, like, Stratego, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Like, and that's where Marin is.
Yeah.
And I thought that was at least interesting because as she is meeting and becoming friends with a bunch of these different people, everybody has a different skill. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. And they all sort of work together, but they are also in competition with each other too.
Yeah.
That was the one thing when it came to like the pack dynamics of it all was a little confusing. Not
Yeah.
confusing. That's the wrong word. It it just made less sense. Like in a world that was actually set up pretty well. And I think they did a really good job, like we said, of really keeping it within the romantasy genre. So it was like just the fact that it was so obviously a romantasy book, a lot of shortcuts there. Like you
Yeah.
don't have to do too much to like get the audience in it. This, like the 4 pack setup that they like all were basically in the same hallway. They like shared a common room, but also like they had like separate like common areas for the pack because they were always constantly banging each other.
Yeah.
So they were always like there was a common room where all the packs could get together so they could get drunk and have sex with each
Yeah.
other. And it made sense because they are eventually supposed to work together. Each of these packs have like
Yeah.
a specialty that like works in battle. But they were also very much encouraged to kill each other.
Yeah. Which I'm like, feels like a waste of resources.
Yeah. It does feel like a waste of resources. Also, the wolves were the ones who like set up the whole trials to like wean out the weak.
Yeah.
Also didn't make any sense, but we did find out at the end that that was in fact, of course,
Yeah.
a lie.
But then, so a good point there is that they're kind of encouraged to sleep around, but that is because apparently, if you're sleeping around, you can more easily find your dire wolf's mate if they're unmated. And so here we go. Now we're into the mated bonds
I
trope.
laughed so hard when we were going into like fated mates, like bonded pairs, and I was like, I just said I was over it. I said I wasn't
know.
going to read Omegaverse. I mean, this
I
is not an Omegaverse by any means, but I was just like, here it is.
I
I'm
know.
back.
I laughed. I laughed when that came up.
Yeah.
But well, what I thought was interesting was that Anasa Marin's direwolf was like, "Girl, I already know who my mate is. Like we already know.
I don't need your help.
Yeah, like I don't need your help. Like, do you?" Which I thought was interesting. And of course, I was like, "Well, obviously, Stark is her mate."
Obviously, Stark is her maid because besides, and the reason why you were sort of sure that this love triangle that which didn't triangle, I wanted very
Yeah.
clear. There was like the triangle only happened at the end when it also became clear that Killian was no good.
Yeah.
Um, but like you knew immediately
Yeah.
that he was going to be like the
Mate.
the main love interest,
Yeah.
the book 2 love interest, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's what I say, like going back to ACOTAR, if this is the first romantasy book you've ever read, if you just came in cold, you
Yeah.
never read any romantasy, it would have been a shock to you.
That's such a good point,
Yeah.
actually.
That's why, like, it was obvious to us seasoned romantasy readers that this is what was going on. But if you came in cold,
Yeah.
you were 13 years old, got this book.
this
I
is
don't
too smutty for
Yeah, it might be too
13-year-olds.
funny. First of all, you would have learned a lot of other things. But if you would have come in cold of this, you would not have known. You would have been surprised at the end.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. I feel like this would be a good entry level
It is a good entry level.
for, like,
Yeah.
adult romantasy. Alright, what was your first plot twist that you identified?
That I identified. So I identified Lee being
Yeah.
honestly, did I say he was a prince? No, because I didn't
No.
know they had a prince. But as soon as I heard the word prince when she got into the castle, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
so that's Lee.
Yeah.
So I knew that. Stark as her mate, I think again, did I know that there was going to be mates in this right away? I assumed, but
Yeah.
Stark is the third person. As soon the first time we saw him when he was just like in the square gutting the guy who
Yeah.
tried to fight Marin the day before. And so yeah, so
Yeah.
he's gonna be a second love interest. Um, her as the chosen one was
Yeah.
shortly afterwards because her mom was banana cakes.
But now that we find out, so Marin was taking care of her mom because she was suffering from what looks like on the outside dementia or
Yeah.
like Alzheimer's, right? She was having these visions. She would go in and out of making sense. And I knew right away that that was very important to the story.
And it was even mentioned, she's like her grandmother, like Marin's
Had it.
grandmother
Yeah.
had this too. So it was something that passed down on particularly the women's side of her family.
Yeah.
So I'm like, obviously this is magic and not dementia. So yes, so I mean what I thought that was, I didn't know, but yes, so obviously
Yeah.
that was important.
I knew it was going to be important. I knew that there was some sort of secret that was happening in the castle, like something else that we didn't know. I felt like we talked about the siphons as being a big bad, but then kind of didn't really go more into the siphons.
The war was very much in the background, right? It was just like the war had been going on for like 4 or 500 years, and they were talking about it like a war that had been going on for 4 or 500 years. That it was just regular everyday life. You either went to the war or you didn't go to the war.
Yeah, and I don't really know if everyone was like, "Wait, what are we fighting for? Like we've been doing this shit for 500 years."
And it wasn't like they necessarily knew anymore, except for that the siphons were vampires, and that's bad.
Yeah.
And that she often complains because as somebody who lives on like the poor side of the city, they don't get any resources because all of the resources are going to the war. And when she gets into the castle, she's like, oh no, all of the resources are also here.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's these people are living like kings and queens while I'm living in squalor and children are being taken.
Yeah. That was a thing that I actually had a question about. So in Marin's area, children were just constantly being taken, like kidnapped in the night. And I feel like that she learns when she goes into the trials, when she's talking to the other packmates about this. They're like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah. No one knew about it, which, I mean, of course, it turns out after another twist, they assume the siphons are taking the children.
Yep.
For the war effort, basically. And the king isn't doing anything about it, et cetera, et cetera. But it really turns out that the king is taking the children.
Yeah.
Because the king is
A
a
siphon.
So, because the king for years, 400 or 500 years ago, the siphons come, depose the real and rightful queen, wolf queen of Nocturna,
Yep.
and basically replaces themselves as the leader of Nocturna and somehow erases all of memory
Yeah.
of the previous leadership
Yep.
and puts a spell on it that no one can talk about it anyway.
Yeah. So we learn that the rightful line is actually through like the women's side or the mother's side
of Marin's family, because the only member of that family to survive was a baby who got taken away and hidden for years.
Yep.
Not well, because because Stark knows where they are because his family was the one who took away the baby originally.
Yeah.
So like it just sort of passed down in his line that they're the protectors of
The crown.
the crown. And then Lee/Killian finds her pretty easily. So apparently we've just always known where they were.
I know. I made a note of that and I was like, oh, it didn't seem like you hit her very well.
Like this was a big plan. Sounded like this was a big plan between Killian and the king. So like the two siphons that were basically in charge.
Yeah, but Killian didn't become a siphon.
Until the very end. But he
Yeah.
knew that his dad was a siphon.
Yeah.
Why not just kill her? Is what my question is. Why not just kill the 3 women who you could have definitely just come in and killed real quick? I mean, Marin might give you a bit of a a bit of a fight, but her mom is crazy and her
Yeah.
sister 10. So why not just kill him? Why instead do this elaborate scheme to get her to be your queen, basically,
Oh,
is what he wanted to
it's
do.
because he can take her magic. Like, she has powers, and so in this book, when you get engaged, you get a bracelet. So Killian proposes to Marin with this, like, stunning just
I
bracelet,
also
and
love the idea of an engagement
I know.
bracelet. Instead of an engagement ring, it could be so beautiful.
I know, it sounds
I know.
beautiful.
Love it.
Ugh, anyway, yeah, it was, like, black diamonds, giant
Yeah.
ruby, it it sounded awesome. Um, but that ends up being some sort of conduit to taking her power and giving it to Killian, and somehow they're, like, bonded together.
Yeah. And then I think the other twist, if you will, third act twist,
Yeah.
is when she becomes the alpha of her packs.
Yeah.
So in these packs, they all have alpha. Stark's a very young alpha of one of the packs, and then everybody else seems to be at the war front and older. And she, the alpha of Stratego, whatever the name of her pack is,
Yeah.
dies at the front. And so they have a vote, and who it's the wolves who vote. It's not like the members of the human part of the pack that vote. And instead of going for like the beta of the pack, they pick Marin and Anasa, who are technically still in training. Anasa's very powerful. So, like,
Yeah.
that's not the surprise. But Marin is still a trainee, and there's nothing anybody can do about him. She can't say anything. Like, the Wolves have chosen, that's what it is. And I'm like, so in that case, we're doing Big Queen stuff. I wasn't sure if it, like, what it was going to be, but Marin is absolutely in
Yeah.
charge of everything.
When that happened, I was like, here's the chosen one."
Yes.
Like,
Which we knew it, but then it was, like, done, and you're like, I don't understand, we still have 300 pages of this book
yeah,
left."
I was saying, I was like, I knew Killian was gonna be bad, but I kept questioning
Mhm.
everything. It was giving Tamlin,
Yeah,
where, like, in
that's
the
what I'm
first,
saying.
yeah, like, we're in the first book, there's no reason why Feyre wouldn't have fallen in love with
Yeah.
Tamlin. Um,
The one difference is that it does sound like Killian, by the end, when he's turned into, siphoned by his dad is dead, he's now super in charge. Everybody found out, and he's now run away, but taken Marin's powers with him for the most part.
yeah,
And so she's in charge. She has all of these magical talismans that says that she's the queen of everything, but not too much for power, which I guess we'll find out about in the second book, how
yeah, I
that
will
sort of
say
works.
we don't actually know
Yeah.
much about her power.
No, we don't know much, but then he runs away, but, like, he's like a big bad now. Tamlin, in theory, could have a redemption arc.
Yeah,
You know,
for
like,
sure.
I mean, he's bad, but, he's heartbroken and full of trauma. This guy's just a sneaky vampire. But he's definitely his redemption arc is not going to be I don't think there is for Killian. Killian's just going to be the bad guy.
Yeah, no, I think that he's gonna be the bad guy. You know what's something that I kind of loved? Early on in the book, someone tries to kill Marin, and next thing you know, she has a private room.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't have anything to wear to, one of the
Mhm.
balls. A beautiful, stunning dress shows up in her room, and she just obviously thinks that Killian
Yeah.
is the one that's doing this, right? He has the power to do it. We find out at the end, this was actually a little bit of a surprise for me, that it was Stark the whole
Yeah.
time.
I have that as something that I liked because
Yeah, I love that.
I thought about it throughout the book, not the room. The room made sense to me, that was probably the prince.
Yeah,
Um, but the dress, for some reason, I don't know, feels like because it was modest, like, in the grand scheme of things. So, like,
I know.
also kind of like Under the Mountain in ACOTAR,
Yeah,
all of these people were just if they weren't in their, like, fighting leathers, they were in what sounded like just scraps of fabric. That was, like, the
yep,
style, and she was uncomfortable with that. Marin didn't like that.
yeah,
And the dress, while gorgeous and beautiful and on trend,
yeah,
was pretty modest in the
yeah.
grand scheme of things. And I was like, I don't think the prince would have put her in something like that. I
Yeah,
think
but then, of
yeah.
course, it's like he knows her the best out of everyone, so it's like, why would you
Yes,
not
why
think
would you not
he
think that? But and it did end up being Stark, and I did like that. I
Yeah,
questioned the dress. The dress I did question.
interesting. Yeah, I loved that. Also, another thing we didn't really talk about is how everybody communicates,
Mhm,
and it sounds like it's very similar to Fourth Wing where, I don't know, it's like in your head, but
mhm.
also out loud.
Back to the thing that I liked with her and Anasa not being on the same page
Yeah,
immediately and, like, Anasa being a real bitch.
yeah,
I mean, Marin was not being, sunshine and roses either, but they just kept a wall up,
yeah,
and because of that, I think the Killian was able to do a little bit more manipulating, but she wasn't listening to Anasa anyway. Anasa was like, maybe don't accept his proposal."
Yeah.
And she's like,
Why wouldn't I?
"Why wouldn't I? What's wrong with you?" So, I mean, she wasn't that moral compass that Pithwing
Yeah.
was. Like, it was very much something that she fought most of
The majority of the book.
yeah, like, until, like, the last 50 pages maybe.
Yeah.
That was the one thing when I'm talking about too that was one of the things that could have been cut because this book was 700 pages,
Yeah.
and it could have been 500 pages in my opinion, if
Yeah.
we just cut out some of the fighting, with and you still could have had her and Anasa only get on the same page on the last 50 pages,
Yeah.
but it was so much of that back and forth got a little repetitive for me.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of the, foreshadowing, if you will, like, once she became Alpha, so when Stark started to train her, she saw the book in Stark's office/room,
It
and
was probably hundreds of pages
yes,
later.
that she decided to that she remembered it existed,
Yeah.
and because there's, like, a spell on the land that won't let anybody talk about the former queens of Nocturna,
Yeah.
they truly couldn't tell her. Stark and Anasa truly couldn't tell her. They were, like, some of the only people who know about the former queens, and they couldn't say anything to her because of the spell, but
Mm.
they kept trying to, like, give her hints, and she was ignoring them. Just like she was, like, not seeing any sort of red flags with that prince, she was not seeing any of the green flags with, like, Stark, and she saw that book, and that book, like, sang to her, and then
Yeah.
she was like, "Nah, probably not important." I was like, "What?"
I know. That was yeah, that was annoying, that was frustrating, and I feel like that took a long time.
And yeah, and that could have just she
Yeah.
still could have, like
Could have tightened it up.
could have tightened it up, and she still could have thought the king was the bad guy and the prince was the good guy during that time too, because he was always talking about how he was gonna make things better and, like,
Yeah.
she was gonna be his queen, and together they'd help the common folk. So they just could have tightened it up, I think.
Then the big final twist, I saw this coming.
So
I
I
knew
did
this
it. I
yeah.
This is the only one that, like, for some reason, I just missed it completely.
So I actually thought it was gonna happen sooner. So they find out that Sayla and the other kids are being held within the castle and that the king will take them one by one every week, and we find out it's because he's draining them for blood for power. Her and Stark come up with a plan on how to get the kids back, and Sayla and the other folks get saved, and when Meryn is getting reunited with Sayla and introducing her to Anasa, it's, like, all cute and cute, cute, cute. But at one point, Killian was like, "I have a surprise for you." And once he said that, I was like, "Sayla ain't gonna be Sayla."
No, I see, that's what I missed. I actually went back. I think when I was reading, since it was the end of the book and I
Yeah.
was just, like, excited, I missed, like, when he was like, "I left a surprise for you," and before he, like, poofed away.
Yeah. And I think the thing is that we don't like I feel like we don't have know enough about siphons, so it's hard to say what kind of bodies they inhabit or
Yeah,
like what they look like or if they change what they look like when they're using powers or something like that. So Sayla seemed like her
totally
sister, like
fine.
totally normal. And then all of a sudden she basically turns into a siphon
Yeah,
and
tries to kill everybody, and you know
yeah.
what it was giving? Strigoi.
It was giving Strigoi. It was also kind of giving Throne of Glass, how everyone is, like, consumed by those, like, the necklaces, the
Mhm.
collars or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
It kind of feels like how the siphon's power works, but again, I feel like we don't know enough about that.
Yeah, and I'm unclear because honestly, they don't really tell us a lot about the siphons. We meet only one other siphon when she's riding off to battle like a dummy,
Yeah,
and
yeah, hard to say. When we first heard about them, they just seemed like vampires, but then we get all into some weird generational stuff, so
yeah. So I think that's gonna be second book.
yeah, we'll see. Alright,
Alright.
I have a silly game,
Okay, okay. Hit me.
or more or less a question. If you could bond with a dragon or a dire wolf, which one would you bond with? Or which one would you want to bond with?
I mean, I'd have to say dragon because of the flying.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
Um,
know what you're gonna say just because of how much you hate flying.
I was like, I'm gonna have to say dire wolf because
Because
of how much I hate flying.
because of the flying, like, that's the same reason.
And I kinda loved it because they said that these dire wolves, for them to go to the front, it could take 2 weeks, but on the back of a dire wolf, it would take 2 days.
Yeah,
And
well,
I'm like,
that's your favorite thing. That's like, why would you fly when you can just drive there, says Katy all the time,
"That's exactly right.
which I'm just like, because that's not how this works, Katy.
I don't wanna be that high up."
No. No, your panic disorder will absolutely not allow you to do that. But on the back of a direwolf, you don't care how fast you're going.
And, like, direwolves are cute. I bet they have big noses
Yeah.
and they're fuzzy and warm.
Yeah. She talks about how, like, how soft the fur is, and she
Yeah.
can just sort of, like, put her hands through it.
Yeah. Ugh, that seems delicious to me. Okay, let's give our final ratings.
Okay. Want me to go
You
first?
can go first.
I give it 4 stars. And I think it could have been 5 stars, but the length and the fact that I called almost all of the twists just negated the stars for me a little bit. But I think it still worked. It was, I
Yeah.
think, a really good romantasy book.
Yep.
So, and I think if I wasn't so well versed in the genre, some of these twists might have been more surprising.
Yep. 100%. I actually give it 4 stars too. As we were talking through it, I'm like, wow, it really is taken like little pieces from like every major romantasy
Mhm.
book out there. However, if this was one of the first books that I read, I'd be like, oh my God, 5 stars.
Yeah, you'd be
Like
like,
I'm
"What
in
is
it.
what is this genre? I
Yeah.
must read everything."
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my God. What bonding, chosen one. I would be like, yes, give it to me. But I liked it.
yeah,
It kept me reading, so I thought it was fun. I'll definitely read the second one.
yeah. I actually am pretty excited about the second one, I
Yeah.
think, because I feel like we'll get a little, think it's gonna be a war book, but we'll get a little bit
I
more.
know. God, I hate war.
I bet you it'll have a quest or 2 as well. I think because
Yeah.
it can't just be totally in the front.
I don't think so. I think we're gonna learn about her powers and, like, how
Mhm.
she's gonna get them back or
And
something
there's
like
gonna
that.
be something because
I know.
what? What?
She's gonna figure out how to turn people back to human from siphons.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the quest that they
That's
figure
gonna be
out.
the quest. It's that, and it's gonna be because I think they said that she needed 3 things. She needed the crown, the sword, and then the necklace.
Oh,
So, her
Hercless.
opal necklace,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about that a lot too, and I was like, "Where's that necklace? You put it in your closet. How are you gonna get it?" Like, it's in your closet. So, we'll see how that
Yeah.
happens, but I bet you she goes to find that necklace and it's not there, and
Yeah.
because what's his face took it,
Because
and then
everyone was the king, the prince,
everybody
like
saw the necklace.
yeah, everyone saw the
So
necklace.
I think she's going to have to get that necklace, that'll be questy, and then once she gets it, one of her magical powers are going
Yep.
to be that's the way you defeat the siphons. You
Yep.
don't defeat them by killing them, you defeat them by curing them,
Yep.
and that's how she's going to do it.
Yep. There we
I
go. We
agree.
figured it out.
Figured it out. No, like, I mean, Sable Sorensen, don't stop your writing, but, it's
Good
on
job, gals.
I know it's on my list of things, and I think it'll be good, but yeah, I thought it was really a solid romantasy book. If you're itching just for, like, that classic romantasy, this is the one for you.
Yeah.
Go ahead and read it. It's really good.
All right. Do you want to tell everybody what we're reading for next time?
Yes. All right, so next time we're gonna be reading We Who Will Die by Stacia Stark. So another, I believe, romantasy.
I think,
We really decided to kick off January with just romantasy, but this one was just released
yeah.
on the 30th
Yep.
of December. So I'm excited for it. I've been seeing a lot of people online, they must have gotten arcs
Arcs.
for it, and everybody really liked it, so we're gonna see what we think about it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, no genre shaming unless it's funny. Bye.
Bye.